2025. Mr. Valentine, you lead some pledge allegiance?
I sure will. Follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Director Parker?
Here.
Director Valentine?
Here.
Director Hansen?
Here.
Director Croco?
Here.
Director Allred here. All in attendance. Approval of agenda.
Motion to approve is presented. Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimously, or forgot to say, disapproved. Anybody disapprove? Unanimous approval. Item 2, community announcements.
I would like to say that I attended the memorial for Chuck Coleman, and it was just perfect. The Spaceport staff helped the family, and everything just went off just exactly as it should. It looked beautiful in the event center, and the resolution was just so nice, and the plaque. And I have some pictures to send to you. I will do that. But it was a really good event. A little windy, but welcome to Mojave.
Thank you, Cassie. 3, consent agenda. All items we approved on one motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those who disapprove? None. Motion carries unanimously. Action items. A, Bass Space LLC test site lease.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Bass purchased 3 Virgin Orbit NASP leases during the bankruptcy proceedings a couple years ago. 2 of the leases, test sites 10, 11, and 18, the other for test site 19. They worked hard to get all their permits together, bringing the sites in compliance. Bottom line, they want to connect the sites, requesting that test sites 10, 11, 18, and 19 be combined in one 5-year lease with one 5-year option. Acres, 15,000. But 156. And further, staff recommends that with this approval, rather than need to come back to you in April, get some of the small provisions that council will highlight tack down on this. We believe we can handle that lawyer to lawyer. It's mostly housekeeping and clarification. But if you don't mind, Mr. Novick, to expand on that.
Yeah, good afternoon. So we have been working with Vast for a while now on putting this lease together. I think because they're consolidating leases and all of that there's been stuff we've had to work through. Nothing controversial or difficult, but just making sure everyone is on the same page when, now 4 test sites are going to be under one lease. So we've worked through all of the issues, and their attorney and I are hashing out one final remaining item. So in our leases, improvements or fixtures to the property belong to the landlord at termination of the lease. All right, so if you construct a building, then that building belongs to the landlord when the lease expires, right? Mm-hmm. So because these are test sites, it's not super clear on what is a fixture, something that is affixed to the real property, and something that might be personal property. So equipment is pretty straightforward, but what we're working through now, and normally we don't work through this in this level of detail, but I think because it's a test site, we're dealing with some of the detail about at the end of the lease, what is theirs and what is the district's. So I think that we will be able to work through it with our attorneys, and we'll be able to get a final lease that we're all comfortable with. So what we would like is for the board to authorize David and I to finalize that lease, and then David to sign it. We'll report back at the next meeting what the outcome was. But there's such minor issues and they're ready to go. So putting it off until the April board meeting doesn't seem necessary to me. So that's the request that we're making of the board.
I'm curious, these issues have not been resolved we have many test sites. Those questions haven't been answered on those sites. Is this something that's different than our other existing sites?
So they're asking for additional language, and the language is clarifying what is real property and what is not real property. So the other test sites all have our standard lease language.
And that's clarify enough, or is this something we can, I'm just kind of working through. Since this is one in more details, that's some where we have some carryover that may in future test sites have better clarity as to what's
Can
fixed and isn't
I
fixed.
say something? I think the difference with this one is that VAST took over an existing test site where there were already items on there. Our other tenants have unimproved land. They don't have anything on there because they're not developed. So this is a unique one where it's our first tenant who is taking over a test site that already has infrastructure on it.
Right, but moving forward, these other that now have been somewhat developed with the red, but they will have fixtures on there probably remain. So does this lease set some new language for future?
It won't.
Okay.
I mean, it might have clarifying language, but it wouldn't
That's
change the
probably
district's legal position. We're not going to give
It's
up.
just them particular that they want. So
Yeah.
yeah, I know our attorneys are.
Well, and you remember they purchased this in a bankruptcy. So probably when the bankruptcy attorneys listed all of the assets that VAST was acquiring, they probably listed all of these things that would otherwise be in a standard situation just considered to be affixed to the property.
Sure.
So
That's probably where it came from. It gets kind of.
yeah, so I think it's
Rolled up
working
in-
through that as well.
Is VAST the company, and just a reminder, are they the company that was building?
Was that
Oh,
mine?
your fault.
Oh, my fault.
I will take responsibility.
Is this the company that who was working ahead of schedule on their
No,
project?
no.
Okay, all right.
Different company.
This is totally different.
Totally different company.
One,
VAST,
two, one, two.
has not been an issue to work with. And look, if we're going to dive into the minutia, that's fine. Right? But we're going through the process
Mhm.
without
Yeah.
problems.
And VAST is a strong mission partner here.
Yeah, I get it. And some little bit of clarity help there. And like I
Sure.
said, because it's a bankruptcy, it's a little different situation for us, and I can see where they want clarity in this. So.
Yep.
Is it test stands and that sort of thing that are out there? Yeah.
Then they might have Connex equipment and small buildings, tanks, and things like that.
Sure. Okay.
Do I have
So,
a motion?
just probably least experienced guy well, not probably, I am a least experienced guy on the board here, just for my own education. So this is subject to secret review. Does the district get involved in that, or is that completely entirely up to, how does that work?
So the under CEQA, the government agency that is responsible for permitting the action is the agency that undertakes the CEQA review.
Okay,
So that is, if they go through the county, they need building permits or whatever, they would do that with the county. If it's just involves the district, then we do that. So, and there's an exception that most is, so if you're leasing a building and you're just going from one tenant to another, then it's exempt from CEQA review. If you're going to do improvements to a building or you're going to change the nature of the use of the building, then you might need to do CEQA review. So the vast majority of ours are exempt.
Okay.
Because if they're going through the county, they're doing it with the county.
but Bass is doing that directly
Yeah.
with the county. We don't get involved in that at all.
No.
Okay,
Well, so we have yes and no. Several years back, we did a master plan for the airport. We did an environmental impact report based on the build out of certain areas of the airport. And the county empowered the district to approve certain projects that were consistent with that plan.
okay.
But it's a precise development plan. And then under certain circumstances, we could just go ahead and approve it.
Right,
In every other circumstance, it still has to go through the county.
county.
So in this case, the test stands existed. Right, so we're not going through permitting for the test stands. They're bringing on their equipment, so they will have a hazardous materials plan that they submit. But this isn't, the county wouldn't be doing CEQA review for this because they're not building a new facility. They're taking over an existing facility, using it for the same purpose, which would make it exempt from CEQA. There's a
Consistent with
long
the
way
plan.
to get to that point. I apologize, but
That's
yeah.
right. All right, thank you.
And Floyd is the expert on the precise development plan. So he will have a lot more detail on what we can do on our own, what goes through the county. It's a pretty interesting discussion, maybe a little geeky, but I think it's a pretty interesting discussion if you want to know more about it.
Okay,
So
thank
the
you.
basic terms of our lease, if they go out there and pour concrete, put steel in the air on that concrete, comes ours?
Yeah.
Okay. But they attach a portable tank to it on a tanker, that's theirs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to proceed?
Motion to approve the Vast Space LLC test site, which is 10, 11, 18, and 19 lease.
So let me just clarify, we're asking you to authorize the CEO to finalize negotiations and then execute the lease.
I'll second what he said.
Okay.
I think
Any
anything after
discussion?
it all. Sorry,
Any other discussion?
are they doing anything out there at all? Have they?
Vast, Vast is actively tested.
Okay,
And they're already testing.
So remember, they purchased the test site leases in bankruptcy. Those leases are active leases. We're terminating those and rolling it into
right,
One.
yeah,
Yeah.
the only was I going there. Yeah, okay.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Aye.
Do all these lease, test sites touch each other? Since they're
They're
putting them all
contiguous.
together, they're all, okay.
They're all side by side.
There's a map.
We don't, we
in our
don't
package.
have
There
that.
is a map
in
on,
here.
I
there's a
have
map on the,
There is, the exhibit is there, but all of these test sites right up here, that whole corner is now connected. There used to be a gap between them, and with this expansion of making it one, they've now connected everything. And they
Oh.
already do have some infrastructure that they've put in and DO previously put in that connect the sites that are underground. So this is actually adding more acreage and increasing the revenue by the $3,600 a month.
Used to be empty land,
Not too long ago.
too long ago.
all right, so we have a unanimous decision. Approved. At least, you're all set. Reports, number 5A. CEO,
Yes, and good afternoon. So for the hangar update, there's really no update. So Mr. Natch, who is the gentleman looking at Bravo Bravo, I think that's slipping off the table. And I don't have anything concrete. We've had numerous meetings. He continues to compile information. I just get that gut feel that I think we will probably not execute on this particular proposal. Interestingly, if we don't, he is very interested in other opportunities for development here. Tilt-up warehousing, aeronautical support business enterprises here, things like that. So I think we will do business. I don't know that we will do business on it.
Has he identified what is undesirable about going forward on that?
There are several parts of that parcel that it's a little difficult to absolutely quantify exactly what kind of easements are there and where those are. And one of the reasons he might be more intrigued with a different kind of development is the hangars would largely involve covering considerable parts of Bravo Bravo with concrete. And if we needed to access any of those easements, that may be challenging with all that concrete. If it were to be a different type of development where he doesn't have to really carpet this whole area with concrete, but do kind of a patchwork or something like that, he may be able to be in a more comfortable environment when it comes to the various concerns that we got there. Some of these are loosely modified. Lennon and Floyd have been working very hard with him to get him the information he wants. Good guy, wants to do business. Just want to be very honest with the board that when I say no update, maybe there is an update in there and it may not be the best. But we're going to continue to work this transaction and see what we can come up with.
When you say easements, I assume you're referring to utility?
Utilities, yes.
There's some old Edison easements in there.
Right.
That it was prior to the airport keeping a real record of what those dimensions are. And so we're having to work with Edison directly to get that. That's a very slow process because we did the request after all the fire started. And so Mr. Natch is having a difficulty time getting them. We're having a difficult time getting that information to actually pinpoint where those dimensions are.
Yeah, I would recommend we continue on with that. I'm suspicious that when we put in Bravo, maybe some of those utilities got abandoned. Maybe not.
We're going to continue to
Yeah,
investigate.
we need to
and
know,
get
we
to a
need
true
to know,
stage
because you
here.
can't develop something if you
Right.
don't know what's under.
Somebody
Right,
can.
so we got to get to a fundamental truth here. And so we're going to continue to work away at that. Part of there's several confounding variables here. One of the confounding variables here right now is it's a little challenging to get SCE inspectors up here to Mojave when they're sort of trying to get power back on where 12,000 homes burned down. So there's just a lot of other stuff going on at the same time. We're doing the best we can with what we have, and we'll see what we wind up with as an end state. So, yes, I agree with you. We're going to continue to work away at that. Any other questions on the hangars?
Well, now that we're on that, is there any part, I'm looking at taxway Bravo, and I would extend it a little bit to the west. Are there any other areas where we may potentially get somebody that wants to build with the same question?
We are not done with local equity yet,
Okay.
but there's also nothing to report as far as a way forward there.
Okay, I'm just saying, we may have a bigger list than we
Right.
generated as far as, we need to know where our interests are.
And Mr. Natch was looking at off of BB and not Bravo.
Correct.
So there's a difference in where the utilities go. So,
We
Yeah.
think,
well, we know where everything for here, it runs along this way. BB,
right.
some of the utilities are going right through them.
Is there anything, if you were to extend, Bravo, which that picture doesn't show, clear to, airport on the north side, I think there may be some potential, the north side, a little bit higher up. Just,
Oh,
just draw it all the way out.
Yep, over here.
Yeah, and even further towards the gym and
Mhm.
other existing utilities in there. Sewer, water. I think there is, because there was homes there at one time.
There's, water that comes through here that I know of based on.
Okay,
the-
well, I don't need you to remember. My thinking is maybe we need to have a bigger request, because obviously getting here and having them do this research, you might say, hey, this area and this area also.
Right.
Mhm.
For future. So that way the next client comes in and wants
Well,
something, we
we
know
should
exactly
know.
where it's
Right.
at.
Where all the
We should know.
underground stuff is.
And it's,
Water.
And we are continuing to work.
okay, I
This
mean,
it's a methodical process and it doesn't happen overnight.
That's right.
it is, but don't be negligent and limit it.
Absolutely. Good point. I know that, Mr. Natch, one of the reasons he specifically was looking at Bravo was not having to put in a taxiway. Right, so, and that's a large cost. So, and that is involved in the, local equity negotiation. So, some concerns there, but more updates to follow.
Well, okay, then let's think a little bit further out. If the taxiway is the issue, and we had taxiway Bravo, we had what, 3 phases? We've done 2 of the phases, am I right, Lynn?
Yeah.
There you go,
Maybe
FAA
the time.
taxiway, customer building. We built B to attract tenants, and if there's potential for that, maybe there's some other area you can build in, because Bravo is extended now, what, another?
We do have interest in the west side of Galactic
Mhm.
over here, and over here is the area that Jets area is
Mhm.
looking at.
Yeah, I know that, but on the north side of it also,
Mhm.
and again, is there infrastructure that we don't know about?
So we need to identify that, make sure.
Yeah, because I might be on the sport for another 20, 30 years, you don't
I'm
know.
loving it. Any-
We are obtaining exhibits and.
Okay,
locating
you get my drift, I'm not trying to. beat
I don't know
you,
why you don't know where it's at. It was built in the 40s. Come on.
We ought to have
but- Why would
historic.
we just crank up the boost pumps and find out where the leaks are? I mean,
Floyd should just be able to get out the computer and, the as-bills are in there.
Yeah.
We've been working on the GIS for it.
Highlights, sir.
Yes, highlights. A couple of things to bring forward to you. One, and Miss Kathy addressed this already, I can't compliment staff enough with what they did for Chuck Coleman's memorial.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, truly first class. It's unfortunate that, based on recent events, we're kind of getting good at this.
Yeah.
But this was an absolutely first class event across the board. So staff gets a lot of credit out of that. Working closely with AV Edge and B3K on a couple of things going on, and one could be very, very exciting. There is money coming down from California called the Catalyst Fund. And we are going to be submitting a grant for some of these Catalyst Fund dollars. And the primary driver behind that grant is the fact that we need an air and spaceport master plan.
Yes.
And to get that right, and to get a cohesive one. Right now, we don't have one plan for the air and spaceport. So to get that cohesive plan done will be considerable. Both AV Edge and B3K are endorsing that this would be an appropriate use of these catalyst dollars in California. The master plan will be very instrumental in our continued growth and moving forward and identifying all these various constraints here. So that'll be very exciting that it comes together. We're working with Mead and Hunt to help build our package and get that grant submitted appropriately to the state of California. So excited to go after money that people want to give us. So,
Do we have an outdated master plan? I thought we had 10, 15, 20 years ago, we had a master plan.
we have a 2015 airport master plan,
And this is called the Spaceport.
air and spaceport master
Well, I
plan.
know the name changed.
Right. So what we want to do is integrate all our assets in one plan.
Sure, no, we need it, I get it. But through me, was sounded like we didn't have a plan, well, we did back then.
Yes, oh yeah,
And now we're gonna, it's the air and spaceport at Lutan Field plan.
right. We want all our assets rolled
Right.
into the one.
No, it should be done in probably 10 years, maybe 5 years.
So, ops, I want to compliment Ariel and her team, did a fabulous job with Kern County Superintendent of Schools, who came out here with a small group, but really wanted to look deep into what we can do and what we do out here. They were absolutely wowed.
Wonderful.
There is a cohesive effort going on here between multiple members of staff. I had a meeting with Dr. Sellett at Antelope Valley College. She is going to champion a meeting between Antelope Valley College, her, the president, and the president Siracosa, and our high school district superintendent, and Cal State Bakersfield, along with B3K involvement, to structure a focused pathways and internship program here. And a beauty of this program, this is not just about staff. This is about working with Stratolaunch and Jet Zero and National Test Pilot School and identifying needs across the entire spectrum of what Mojave Air and Spaceport is. As currently defined by some California Job First initiatives, there is a better than even chance that these interns will be completely paid by California State under Jobs First. So the beauty is we bring in a high school senior with a certain skill set or a college junior with a certain skill set. We give that person, I'll pick on Ariel because she's here. We give that human to Ariel. Ariel has that human for, and I'm grabbing numbers out of the sky, okay? Nothing quantifiable here. 20 hours a week here, 20 hours a week, stay in school, work on your degree, knock that thing out. It's really important. I'd rather have an education and not need it than need an education and not have it. So they get their education, they get, say, 6 months of expertise in ops. She has functional curriculum already built. They get an ops certificate that they can take to LAX or Missoula International or Mojave Air and Spaceport and come back and say, hey, you have an opening now. I'm ready to apply for that ops position. They're an absolutely cold start. They have all the data. They're full up round. I can plug and play day one. So we're excited about that opportunity, especially the fact that this may involve some labor that comes in here completely free. And along with that, we've looked at opportunities. It's very early in discussion, working with the local transportation museum group about increasing some quantified tours here, rather than have the multiple drop-in cat and dog tours that we're absorbing on an extremely regular basis. We do a disciplined scheduled tour program. We hopefully reduce labor by not having to accommodate the multiple tours and saying, sure, you're more than happy to come out. It'll be Saturday, the third Saturday of the month, the 2 p.m. Again, a number that's arbitrarily picked. We can now potentially even monetize that tour, not really looking at making a profit out of it, but I'm looking at covering costs and expenses. And heck, maybe with the board's approval, we would look at excess proceeds going to the museum foundation or something similar. With the internship program and the partnership with the museum foundation, that could also be a great source of docents for the tour program. So I can now take that intern now runs the tour, aerial staff keeps working on runways open, fly airplanes, execute tests. And we still have an increased public footprint and maintain that strong relationship with the community. So I think that's an exciting possible way forward, more to follow. Yes.
I have a comment. I know we're airport, spaceport, and we're focused on aviation and aerospace engineers. But we have an industrial side of our spaceport with the railroad. And since the railroad is the only reason Mojave's here in the first place, I think maybe interns with Rail X, I don't know, are they still called Rail X?
So I would offer, and my apologies if I cut you off.
No,
The conversation with Dr. Zella was that Mojave Air and Spaceport is really a microcosm of any other community. It's
It
very
is.
much a small city.
it is.
So do I need custodial help here? Absolutely, and so does Strato
Absolutely.
Lodge. Do I need environmental expertise? Absolutely,
Yes.
and so does National Test Pilot School.
Of course.
Do I need airport ops experience?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do I need intellectual capital, the engineering thing? You
Yeah.
bet. But do I also need people that understand surfaces, A&P, basic fundamentals of aerospace? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this internship program could be extremely broad.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Right.
Yeah. Very.
And the ultimate goal would be this very needs driven.
Yeah.
So as we look at this thing, if our mission partners say, well, we have zero need for aerospace engineering, but we do need surfaces technicians to work in some programs we can't talk about public.
Mm-hmm.
Great, let's find people that have that skill set and support that avenue of our delivery of pathways programs for these people. So it's a frangible program and it's a flexible program.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I will just give you a lead turn on this and be very excited to present it to you at the next board meeting where we will have it appropriately on the agenda, et cetera, is we got staff together and went down to Palmdale Regional Hospital where they provided us a meeting room, breakfast and lunch for free, kind of a nice thing. And we did a strategic planning session, something we haven't done for quite a while. We had a gentleman who is a Six Sigma Black Belt donate his time as community outreach and service to facilitate our training. And in that day, we came up with some definable goals. We will bring to the board at the next meeting a motto, a vision, and a mission statement. The mission statement is very close to what's on the wall, but we will ask the board for approval to incorporate the new statement. And at that point, of course, we'll be providing you with the entire written up deliverable of our action planning session. My not so hidden agenda with staff was I've had way too much experience with strategic plans that do absolutely nothing. You know, you spend time, money, energy, and you build this thing in a pretty binder and you stick it on a shelf and
Right.
you take it off when the dust layer on the book is thicker than the book. And then you have a strategic planning section.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is much more like an action plan. So each one of the directors here and staff has deliverables, has objectives that at our Monday tag up meeting every week, they'll be reporting on and monitoring their progress in these very areas that collectively we thought these are things we want to get after.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I say that not to get any decisions from the board at this point, just to prep you that we'll be bringing this to you. It is nowhere in the intent of staff to get crosswise with the direction of the board.
Mm-hmm.
So this, again, is a frangible change of the document. And with the board's oversight, hopefully one way or another, we come up with a very cohesive vision as we continue to move forward. So I'll be excited to bring that for you for your
Do these
review at the
meetings
next.
have an agenda and minutes? Do you keep on?
This particular strategic planning section, not formal minutes, but our facilitator did track everything we did by camera and he's posted that in the plan. What we've done is taken the first read of that plan and given it to staff. And I've asked all the various directors on staff to go through it, make their edits. Again, it's a bit of my personality and my leadership stuff. So it'd be very easy for me to go through and edit the plan and tell the directors what they're gonna do. No, I want the directors to bubble up a cohesive thing that they're completely bought in on. And then, yes, as the CEO, we'll have a discussion if there's something we disagree on.
Mhm.
But so far, going through the session out in Palmdale, and we wanted to have it far enough from Mojave that the directors didn't keep coming back to work.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted them totally focused on the outside.
Mhm. Good idea.
And I believe that they did a commendable job at focusing that. But you will see, although not quote minutes, you will see tracking in that plan of how some of the brainstorming and some of the idea gathering sessions work when it comes to things like something as simple as sticky notes by different people on a wall that eventually get turned into a focus plan.
Mhm.
So we'll be bringing that to you for your review. Very excited also to report that Floyd regularly knocks it out of the box, which is so challenging because he is so busy here, taking care of all the facilities. But during the tax sale, acquired the 2 available parcels. So we have executed per the board's direction on those 2 parcels.
Wow.
The 3rd parcel, the one frankly we really wanted, was taken off the market.
Ah,
So we didn't compete on that.
oh, shoot.
And subject to your questions.
Somebody found out it was for sale. I mean,
Somebody probably.
apparently they paid the taxes on it quick and it's more valuable now.
Maybe. We just don't know.
Yeah.
All we know is it was pulled, and that's a very logical assumption.
Okay. Any more discussion on the,
No. But I'm glad we got the 2.
yeah,
Good.
absolutely. Board committees, we don't have any.
I got one I think I can ask you. Is there any feedback from Jedwell?
Yes, they want to move very quickly. So they actually came back on a configuration control is important. You know, we don't want them working from version C of the lease and we're working from version E of the lease.
Right.
Right? And there has been a lot of this going back and forth. So they came back with pretty much a line by line edit, but it was on a prior version. So along with council and staff, we went back to them and said, hey, we can work with those edits, but slide them over here to the current copy of the proposed lease. It's very important we work under configuration control. So they're doing that now. They've also proposed, and Mr. Navi's already agreed to the ability to do this. When we get through this round, if we come up with some cat and dog things, what they'd like to do is get councils and CEOs in one room at one time and say, okay, can we agree that this should be puppy or small dog? Right? Is this happy or glad? Can we get down to that point? And we'll knock those things out and hopefully execute rapidly. They want to move forward quickly.
Interesting.
Lawyers always complicate everything.
What did Henry V say about that?
But then it happened when you killed all the
Oh,
bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. That's what I was asking. There's some communication going on.
Yes. Yeah. Anything else from the board?
No, I think we're good. Move on to number 6, director for committees and items not on the agenda.
All board committees.
okay.
No comments?
Oh, board comments, was it? Oh, big print.
Yeah. Well, where's your electronic eye? Closed session, and we move to closed session.
Recording stopped.